Hey Sue, how you doing?
How are you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, here we are,
How are
finally.
you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Like after, your people talked with my people and, my people talked with your people and they did lunch or something. We had like a number of things scheduled and rescheduled. And I think it's because you're so busy and becoming increasingly popular.
Oh, I hope so. Glad we did connect finally.
Yeah. Yeah. So for those of you that are tuning in to the radio station, it's WBLZ Blizzard of Blues Radio. I've got the Ice Queen herself in the virtual flesh with me here on the radio station. She's going to be performing at the Sportsmens Tavern on November 8th, and I believe that's what a 7 or an 8 o'clock start.
Something like that.
Something like that. Okay, well it's
One or the other. I think it's probably closer to eight, but
is
don't
it?
don't quote me on that. I'd have to look.
Yeah. Now be prepared for as I mentioned in our previous interview, one of the foremost and last torchbearers of real stripped down Texas blues electric guitar. I know you do a lot more, but I'm just going to put that out there as a broad moniker.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, we're based out of Austin and the sound we play is mainly that, what we learned in Austin. So John Penner on the bass and Corey Keller on the drums and myself. So we all came up in the Antone school. Uh,
Yep.
so
Yep, I've heard the stories, watched the videos, and I followed it really closely just because of my own interest and passion for it from up here in the Buffalo area. I've got to get down there and just do the hang. So one of these days, I'm gonna take some time out of my schedule and visit Austin and try to really soak that in. Has it changed a lot since the '80s when you kind of came up there?
I came up in the 90s. So I wasn't there in the 80s, but it's changed dramatically. Yeah. You can't.
So you've got a new album coming out. I don't think it's released yet, but I got the advance from your record label on Stony Plain, and it's called Live in Austin, Volume One. And
Right.
I've been checking it out. It sounds great. I mean, it's Sue Foley. It sounds like Sue Foley. I mean, aside from the years of experience and performance and life that's happened between the '90s and today, it still sounds like you. Same great guitar tone, like you just, it's a tone to die for from Pinky. And you're singing. I mean, you just got such an original, identifiable sound. And I think that's like the holy grail. And you've had it from the get-go.
Oh, wow. That's a great compliment. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah,
But
it's
yeah,
true.
you're right. It does sound like us. And we even do songs from my very first album, Young Girl Blues. So it's interesting even for us because John Penner, our bass player, was there with me. He started out with me. Um, so yeah, we just kind of developed together, but it's still there. It's still basically the same. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's the same in an outstanding, great way. I mean, telecomp, but maybe you could elaborate about Pinky for a second and your guitar rig.
My guitar rig's really basic. It's a Fender Telecaster through a Fender 410 59 reissue Bassman. Generally, if I'm in Texas or close to home, that's what I'll be playing through. Otherwise, it's a Paisley Tully through a twin or something similar to the Bassman. But I almost always have a Bassman if I can.
No kidding, you still get that great sound out of a twin, as bright as it can be.
The twins are great. They stand up on the road better. So a lot of times we have rental gear and basements just get trashed. So your best bet is something with 212s I've found because those speakers are a little more resilient. There's
Yeah.
my technical opinion. But
Yeah, I mean, I think I've spotted a Strymon Flint, maybe with some reverb and some tremolo
yeah,
for those modulation effects. But aside from that, I don't think I've ever caught any wind of a tube screamer or anything. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but you're just such a pure player.
yeah, I try to keep it clean and really pure, like you say. I am a total purist. I'm so old school, but it's just the way I like to hear guitar too. Like I like it, I like that immediacy of sound. Like all my favorite players, they would just plug into the amp. I didn't see Gatemouth with any pedals or Albert Collins. They didn't even have tuning pedals, you know, like
No.
they didn't have anything. Or Jimmy Vaughn, the same thing. I mean, he plays with a little bit of tremolo, but he's so clean, so pure. I love that, you know. Although
Yeah, and I
Steve had
actually,
a great sound and he had a lot of pedals. So I mean, I don't
yeah,
know.
I have actually I mentioned that because Jimmy has been on the show too, and we've chatted about common interests and things over the years. And I think he did say that he used to use a tube screamer, and he liked it a lot, and I think that's maybe how Stevie got turned on to it, and subsequently to that whole industry that has cascaded from really like that one thing, all these pedals and boutique makers and mods and all these things. It's amazing the influence that those players have had on the industry itself. It's pretty massive financially and also culturally, as a style. But you mentioned Albert Collins, and I was just telling some friends of mine the other day. I have this great Albert Collins story. When I was younger, this had to be probably '92, I think, or '93. Pine Top Perkins invited me and my band to Chicago to have a barbecue at his house on South Chicago Avenue, and we ended up playing with him at this place called River West. And Professor Eddie Lusk ended up playing keyboards. Pine Top got up off of the piano and started fronting and just singing. And Piano C Red played there, and it's just a great night. And at some point during that blues festival that year, Albert Collins was the headliner, and we ended up at Kingston Mines. And somebody was handing Albert a Strat to be signed, and it ended up in my hands somehow. And I started playing a little bit of Frosty, and all of a sudden he recognized. He goes, "Hey, that's my song." And so he and I ended up talking on a little bit of an aside there. He pulled me aside. He started talking to me, and he said that he developed his guitar technique and style by emoting it first. So he would sing those notes, down, 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 and he would just duplicate them on the guitar. And man, the style that he ended up with was just incredible, and induplicable. I haven't heard really. I mean, although there's a guy in Rochester named Steve Grills who does a great job at covering the Albert Collins style, but it's just all part of how special and individual the blues is.
Yeah, I think they take what they have to their grave. I mean, I haven't heard anybody sound like Stevie really. I haven't
Yeah,
heard anybody sound like Albert King. I mean, Stevie did, but not exactly. I mean, no, those
right.
guys, it's like that's like a fingerprint. And you're right, that's what really, yeah, if you can develop that, your own fingerprint, wow, it could be better than that.
Yeah, and I think you have that too because you've told me that you have a couple of copies of Pinky, the Telecasters, and you still sound like you on those instruments, as special as Pinky may be, on her own. You still got that thing too, and I think anybody that's really after great tone really appreciates and respects something like that. So I'm looking forward to it.
Good.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try to be there. I'm going to see if I can bring some friends with me, maybe my girlfriend along. And speaking of boyfriends and girlfriends, how's our friend Mike Flanagan doing?
He's great. I think he's doing some gigs with ZZ Top this week.
Yeah, and speaking of which,
And he produced our out, this
yeah,
album.
yeah.
Mention that. I mean, and my next one, my solo acoustic one, he produced that too.
Okay, so you've got a solo acoustic record. I was wondering because this Live in Austin is volume one. Is there going to be, like some
There'll
type of,
definitely be a volume two. We've got a ton of material and a lot of good stuff. But we wanted to start with the older stuff, so
yeah.
this is sort of retrospective, but it's a cool mix of tunes from different albums, and then a new surprise even in there.
All right. So
Surprise.
when are you going to do another studio album like the Ice Queen?
Probably later next year, because we've got two releases, but we've already been working up stuff with the band and talking about that. But
Yeah.
probably towards the middle of the year, if we have a lull, we'll get in the studio and
I love the sound of that album and Pinky's Blues because your engineer and just the style of recording that you do, which is mostly live, I think probably 100% live if I'm not mistaken, is
yeah.
yeah, you're able to capture that with the miking and the proximity and just the type of studio. Tell me about the studio that you record that in. I'm interested.
That was in the fire station in San Marcos, and it's engineered by Chris Bell. And the fire station is just one big open room, basically. It's got a couple of, smaller rooms, isolation rooms, but really all the recording's done in this big, massive room with a huge high ceiling.
Hmm.
And all of us together, we got some barriers. I mean, I've got video of it that sort of shows the environment in the studio, but literally you look behind the wall, there's Chris Layton, and then I look behind the other wall, it was John Penner and me, and even the vocals, like my guitar would be there, Chris Layton there, and then John Penner over there. And we were all set up like as if we were playing a gig.
That's incredible, and your associations are, of course, legendary, and they've got to be so positively affirming and encouraging for you, like right from the get-go there, because here you are playing with, Jimmy Vaughn and Billy Gibbons and Chris Layton and Mike Flanagan in a band called The Jungle Show. You've got some shows coming up here at the end of December, I believe a New Year's show which might be sold out, but you have the 27th and 28th maybe still open.
I think they still have tickets left, but the third night, because we do it 3 nights in a row,
Yeah,
third night sold out. So it's probably all gonna go pretty quick.
yeah. Who knows? Maybe I'll get a wild hair and book a flight and come down there. I think I'd love to witness that. I think last year,
Great
Jimmy.
show. It's a really great show. It's completely unusual. This is where you hear like Billy Gibbons really getting down on some Jimmy Reed stuff, and him and Jimmy really. I mean, the three of us play really well, and Mike Flanagan and Chris Layton are amazing. But just to be able to see Jimmy and Billy, for me as a fan,
Right.
you know what I mean? I'm on stage, but I'm still a fan. I'm just like looking, going, look at these guys, and they're just interacting very casually in a different way that you'll never see them do. It's the only time of the year we see this. So,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
I'm just in there kind of like I'm doing my thing in between, but it's super fun.
And your thing is still your thing and stands up right against those colossal, epic, legendary, artists that all us guitar players know and love. And I also wanted to ask you, it seems like that now, and within the last, I don't know, handful of years or so, seems to be maybe the most popular era of your career ever. Am I right? Is it safe to say that?
Most popular, what do you mean?
I mean, it's like well, of course, you've always had fans and been popular and been doing festivals and touring and things like that. But is this era? I mean, is this really like where you feel like things are really all hitting, um, all things firing at the same time correctly for you career wise?
Yeah, I think so. I think music wise too. I think it's, blues is great that way because you got to get a few years on you and then you can kind of come in and kick ass and,
Yeah. Oh, the lighting.
like you develop your thing and then keep your skills up. But I feel really good. Like I'm in a
You
good
could.
place.
Yeah. What do you attribute aside from experience and getting um, those years under your belt to this popularity that you're enjoying right now?
Say that again?
What would you attribute, aside from just experience, to this era of popularity in your career?
Just, I don't know, staying in the game, like staying
Yeah,
curious, keeping working, but basically keep going. Like I
yeah,
haven't stopped. I mean, I kind of, I did that thing at the beginning of my career and then I raised a child. He's 26, so
right.
There was a lot of years where I did other things. I was weaving in and out of. I wasn't on the road all the time, you know.
Yeah, who is also a great guitar player. I've seen the videos of you two playing together. He burns jazz and fusion type stuff.
He's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know. I've been around a while, but I think you just get better and
Yeah,
you
it doesn't. Blues really isn't like the get rich and famous and popular quick genre. I mean, it's like you really should be seasoned, you know?
yeah, and you're in it for your life, so you do develop a fan base that grows over time. I mean, after 30 years, I've got people that have been coming out to see me for over 30 years. Like,
Yeah, I can
you know what I
relate.
mean? Like, that's a lot. So
Yeah.
that just grows over time. You just keep adding to it.
Yeah, I hear you. Like I told you, I mean, I started out in the late 80s, early 90s, and just still doing it. So perseverance has something to do with it. But you know what? I'm gonna propose a theory to you, and you can feel free to disagree, of course. But I think economically speaking, from that angle, scarcity might have something to do with it because there's not a lot of people like you doing it. And of course you're unique in yourself. You're Sue Foley, and your image and your voice and your guitar playing, all that stuff. It's just it seems like a really ripe time for that to come to fruition, to use those types of images.
I like to hear that. Thank you.
You know, because
Yeah.
because I
Cool.
back when you started doing this and I started doing this, guys like Ronnie Earl and Anson, of course Jimmy Vaughn's still out there doing it, but I'm really kind of referring to the like stripped down, straight into a super reverb or a bassman kind of players. Um, there was a group of them that were steadily touring. Duke Robillard, by the way, your label mate, he's also going to be playing at Sportsman's a couple days after you. I think he's coming on the 10th.
Great.
But it just, things change, and Sam Myers passed away, and Ronnie did some different things, and um, so I think that also has something to do with that. Like the business changes around you. You're still doing the same thing. You're still growing, but the business is changing around you, and people come and people go. And now, you're really a commodity.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's prime time.
Yeah, yeah,
Prime time for blues.
yeah. It really is. And the other thing is contrast. Because when you look at what you do, we discussed your rig and how basic and pure it is, compared to a lot of the popular guitar players nowadays. There's a lot more. It seemed like there were of the Eric Johnson inspired players, blues rocker kind of things. There seems like there's more of them now than there were at the beginning. So there's this shift. It's like people are like, "Hey, look at someone like Sue." It's like it's the same rhythms, and if you don't mind me just elaborating, going back to live in Austin, Volume One, those songs like "Better" was one of my favorites. I was listening to that.
Right.
Just it takes discipline to play that riff bass blues, right? Just keep it going steady. Don't drop it out during the whole song. But also, as a three-piece guitarist, weaving in the fills and the solos, but while still laying down that constant, hypnotic riff and rhythm. And Queen Bee is another one. Um, so yeah, that's just my commentary on it.
Sweet. Well, I'm glad to hear that. It's what we do, and I'm looking forward to coming out there and doing it again. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to say to the folks up here in Western New York?
Western New York. Well, you're almost in Canada, so we're almost brethren.
Yeah. Are you in Canada right now?
I am in Canada right now, so and we'll be just circling around. Like we're gonna be well, we're in Ontario, and then we head down to the Pittsburgh area, up through DC and Philly, and then Boston, or New York, Boston, and then we circle back to Buffalo. So So we're kind of just circling around you right now.
I figured, yeah, it sounds like a great run, and I
Now you're
figured
in the tropics.
I changed it around because you're in Canada, I'm in Buffalo, and it's like 70 degrees here today. So I feel like,
It's warm here too.
oh, is
So
it?
so yeah, we're just looking forward. You know, the show I'm touring right now is a little bit of Pinky's Blues, and then we're hitting the new live album. We've got it with us. We've got vinyl with us and new merch. So it's really cool. Everything is beautifully done, and we're really happy with it. And then I'm also doing a little bit of previewing of my acoustic show that's coming up next year. So
Yes, I
that's
remember
a
you.
good show. It's varied. I got a great band, great team with us. Yeah, we're just making
Yep.
a loop here through the Northeast before the snow flies.
Yeah. Well,
We didn't get out.
that's why I'm doing this sort of thing, just kind of, enjoying it while it lasts, because this heat wave is probably going to be the last of it. You know.
I know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, it's always great to talk to you, Sue. And
All right.
all right, thanks a lot, Sue. Take care.
I mean, we'll see you next week.
Bye bye.